Why does it feel like whatever used to protect you quietly disappeared? If that question landed too close, stay. This may already be your story. He will cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness will be your shield and rampart. Psalm 90, 1-4. There are seasons when nothing collapses outwardly, yet everything inside feels exposed. You keep moving through the day, answering what needs answering, carrying what needs carrying, but the buffer that once softened impact is gone. Not suddenly, not loudly, just gradually, quietly, until you notice how sharp everything feels. You sense it in ordinary moments. A sentence lingers longer than it should. Silence presses heavier than before. Your body lies down, but your mind stays alert, scanning, bracing, preparing, as if rest itself might be interrupted. It isn't panic exactly, it's lack of cover. Cover is what absorbs what you were never meant to carry directly. It stands between you and the full force of the world. It allows you to breathe without calculating the next hit. Psalm 91 doesn't begin with danger. It begins with shelter. Not escape, not removal, but nearness that covers. He will cover you. Not after you calm down. Not after you regain strength. Not after you stop feeling this way. Covering happens while you are exposed. That matters because exposure feels like failure in a culture that rewards composure. We learn to armor up, to stay productive, to keep moving even as we hollow out. Momentum becomes protection until momentum slows and we feel everything all at once. Exhaustion loosens armor, waiting thins it, loss strips it away, and suddenly you realize how much protection you thought you had was never meant to hold on its own. That doesn't mean God left. It means other supports did. Under his wings you will find refuge. Refuge isn't where you perform well. It's where you arrive tired, without explanation, without strategy, without strength to keep pretending. Wings don't ask how you got here. They don't measure how much weight you bring. They don't recoil when you collapse. They spread. There is a particular kind of tiredness that doesn't come from doing too much. It comes from having to stay ready all the time. Ready for bad news. Ready for another expense. Ready for another emotional hit you didn't schedule. You don't live in panic. You live in anticipation of impact. That vigilance drains you slowly. It keeps your shoulders raised, your jaw tight, your thoughts half a step ahead of rest. You don't relax, you monitor. And monitoring feels responsible until it becomes unbearable. This is what it means to feel uncovered. Not that danger is present, but that protection feels absent. Psalm 91 doesn't argue with that feeling. It doesn't dismiss it. It simply says you are not facing it alone. He will cover you. Covering is an active verb. It implies movement, intention, attention. God positions himself between you and what would overwhelm you. Not once. Continuously. Some of you learned early that protection was conditional, that safety depended on performance, that love could be withdrawn when you disappointed. So when life becomes unstable, your instinct is to tighten, to control, to manage perception. You'll hold yourself together because letting go feels dangerous, but God's shelter is not conditional. It does not require composure. It does not demand strength. It requires proximity. That's why wings matter. Wings do not build walls. They invite closeness. They require you to come near, to stop circling, to stop scanning the horizon for threats, to trust that being close is safer than being alert. That is hard for exhausted people, because exhaustion teaches you that nothing is guaranteed, that stability can vanish, that protection can fail. Psalm 91 speaks into that fear without correcting it. It doesn't say, "You're wrong to feel this way." It says, "Come closer, under his wings, not above them, not beside them, not watching from a distance, under." That means humility. It means admitting you are not okay. It means acknowledging you cannot absorb everything anymore. And that admission feels risky because it requires surrender. But surrender is not collapse. It is repositioning. You stop standing where the impact hits hardest. You move where it is absorbed for you. His faithfulness will be your shield. A shield doesn't remove conflict. It absorbs impact. It stands between you and what would otherwise reach your core. You may still hear noise. You may still feel pressure. But not everything reaches the center anymore. Faithfulness means consistency. God does not flinch when you do. He does not step back when your strength thins. He does not withdraw cover because you are struggling. America feels uncovered right now. Noise everywhere. Certainty nowhere. People aren't collapsing publicly. They're wearing down privately, absorbing economic pressure, emotional fatigue, relentless information, without margin, without rest. You feel it even if you can't name it. That sense of being one hit away from unraveling with nothing left to absorb it. That's why Psalm 91 still speaks, not because it promises removal, but because it promises presence that absorbs. God does not promise to harden you against pain. He promises to stand between you and what would destroy you. Sometimes the shield is not relief. It is endurance that arrives before collapse. Strength that shows up quietly. Cover that holds, even when nothing changes. You may not feel stronger, but you are still standing. You may not feel peaceful, but you are still here. That is not nothing. Shelter does not always feel comforting. Sometimes it simply feels close, and closeness can feel heavy when you wanted escape. But escape would leave you exposed. God chooses nearness instead. So, if today you feel unprotected, emotionally raw, tired of absorbing what you never asked to carry, you are not failing at faith. You are discovering its truest form, faith that rests, faith that allows itself to be covered, faith that stops bracing long enough to breathe. Nothing needs to be solved tonight. Nothing needs to be fixed. Nothing needs to be explained. You are allowed to stand under the wings, to stop defending, to stop proving, to stop pretending you are fine. Let the shield do its work. Let the shelter hold. You do not need to prove strength. You need protection. And you have it. Not loudly, not dramatically, but faithfully. Amen.